Welcome to Amplifying Your Wellness with TLC, a place where we discuss your self-care and wellness through our guest stories, information, and tips on how to live healthier and happier lives. We are Twin Life Coaching and Business Services with your host, myself, Tara Lehman, and my business partner and sister, of course, Barb Schutz. We care about increasing awareness around self-care and mental health through this podcast, coaching, consulting, and more. To find out about all of our services and our community, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. As a reminder, this podcast is for sharing of stories and information only and is not intended to be or replace any medical advice you are seeking or have received. So today we're welcoming Rick Salmeron of Salmeron Financial to talk to us about self-esteem. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you very much for having me, ladies.
Thank you. So, Rick, can you tell us a bit about your background with the topic of self-care as it relates to self-esteem?
Well, I discovered self-esteem, I'd say 7 years ago, where at that point in my life was fine. I didn't think that anything was necessarily wrong. I was not aware that there could have been something better out there for me. My children were happy with dad. I was happy with them. I was loving them as best as I could as a father. I was divorced. I was dating a girlfriend. I had my business. My business was doing also fine. This common word, fine, surrounding me. So didn't notice really anything wrong. And then my girlfriend at that time mentioned to me, Rick, you should maybe look into a 3-day class that I took years ago. And she was not offering that up because she thought that I was a jerk or I needed to improve. She just wanted the better of me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when she made that suggestion, my mouth said, okay, I'll go. My heart said, no.
Yeah.
What's the matter with me? Why do I need to attend this 3-day class? I've got nothing wrong with my life. I am not complaining about anything. My health is fine. My mental state is okay. Why is she suggesting this to me? My thoughts were. So I acquiesced. I attended. I said yes. And fortunately for me at the time, this company running the weekend class had this policy that if you attended all the 3 days and you concluded that you received no value from the 3 days, which I wasn't going to receive any value, I said,
of course,
you'd get my money back.
Oh.
So that was my idea. I'll attend the 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back home. I'll tell my girlfriend, hey, thanks for suggesting this. It was fine, the class. And I would ask the company to give me a refund. So that was the idea. So I attend the 3 days of the classes, and this is where I'm getting to the self-esteem. At the end of the day, I realized how wrong I was in so many aspects of my life. I recognized what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yes.
When a 3D set of spotlights starts to shine on you from different angles that I'm not able to see because we're all walking around with blinders on, right?
Mm-hmm.
When a place or an environment is able to remove those blinders ever so slightly or ever so deeply, however I chose to at the time, you see a lot of things. You see a lot of layers of your own personal onion that you have never seen before or you have always turned away from. And that was a very powerful weekend for me. And this is where I discovered self-esteem. I discovered that my self-estimate of myself, how much I liked myself, how much I loved myself, reflected in all the life results that I had. And again, my life wasn't horrible, yet I realized that how greater my life could have been.
Right.
And the key was my loving myself, the belief in myself. Whether we recognize this or not, I know this more so than ever, and I'm not claiming to be a master at this, although I'm about 7 years into this, and I'm constantly focusing on what can I do to help boost and better my self-esteem. It's behind every single decision that I make. It's this invisible partner that's sitting on my shoulder that I can't tangibly see, yet it is whispering sweet nothings in my ear answering the questions, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Do I deserve this? Do these questions sound familiar to anyone? So many times the answer to that was no. But when I started to focus on my self-esteem, my life didn't change in a snap, but the trajectory of my life did change in a snap. And now here I am living a life that I love. I realize that I've got a better life still out there somewhere. That girlfriend that I was dating 7 years ago to this man here speaking now that was never getting married again because it was marriage's fault, not my fault.
Right.
He's now married to that girl.
Oh,
And we are loving a 12 out of a 10 marriage right now. And that's what I want for
Excellent.
everyone else in their life too.
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing.
we clearly know why this is so important to you. I mean, it has made your life so much better. So why are you sharing this? Why is it that you, for example, wanted to share this with our audience or other audiences out there?
Because I've also discovered a philosophy that I choose to live nowadays, and that's giver's gain. I know
I
that
like that.
when I give, I will gain somehow. And by doing that selflessly, I don't care where the gain comes from. I'm not expecting it to come from, say, you lovely hosts here on this podcast. I just know that when I show up with the philosophy of giving, I don't receive if I don't give. You have to have one so that you can have the other. Whether that receiving comes from this show or indirectly, or this is just part of my legacy, because in these days, all these podcast episodes are going to be up in the cloud forever and ever and ever, right?
Yep.
When I give, I know that I gain. And I gain in many respects. In fact, I show up to a podcast like this to boost my self-esteem.
I love that.
This gives me the confidence to show up. I don't have any script. I'm a lot better at this than I used to be. If you would have asked me to be on your show 7 years ago, I would say, what? Why me? I'm not good enough to be on a podcast. I don't deserve to be on a podcast. What value do I have to add to your listeners? My answer then was zero. And my answer today is, well, a lot. So if I can say something today that one of your listeners can pick up on, and maybe that changes their life today, maybe that will motivate them and inspire them to do something different, do something out of their own box to expand their box, then I've done a really good thing today.
I love that. And I love that you're covering a little bit about, what some people call imposter syndromes or limiting beliefs is what holds us back. And you're just taking it and saying, I'm here. And I'm hoping that, if I learn something, if they learn something, I've done good. And I think that's an amazing way to be sharing why this topic is so key for you and so important to our listeners as well.
Yeah.
That self-esteem to me is what drives all of my decisions, whether the exercise that I take or don't take, the meal that I prepare for dinner tonight, how do I prepare that? The money decision, where I spend my money, this is all driven by how I estimate myself. When I focus on my self-esteem, it may sound and appear selfish, yet who benefits from the next Rick version 2.0? The answer is my wife, my kids, my business, my clients, my neighbors, my city, my society, my mother, my siblings, everyone benefits from that. That's why I want to put the oxygen mask on me first before I help other people's out second.
Yeah.
A good analogy for that. When you are helping others around their self-esteem, what sort of challenges do you come across? What holds people back?
Well, what holds people back are the childhood limiting beliefs that we developed when we were kids, when we were young.
Yeah.
The truth is, when I was born and when you were born and everyone listening to this, when we were born with all of the incredible, amazing qualities that every human being has. Just bring to mind a small child, a daughter, son, whatever. What are some of the qualities that they demonstrate as a 2-year-old, as a 3-year-old? They are courageous. They are brave. They have urgency. When they're in the toy store and they see that football or that doll, when do they want those things? They don't want it next week or next month. They want it now.
No.
They want it now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
And so these qualities of honesty and being loving and being wonderful and being all these qualities were these qualities that were only found in children born in North America? No, they're qualities every child all over the world, right? What happens is as time goes on, as children, we experience life experiences. We experience life events. I've heard that the most common word that we hear as young children, usually from our parents, is the word no. And that's not because that's the wrong thing to say. It's just because we begin to experience these limitations at a very young, tender age, whether they are to protect us as young children, which is very appropriate and very called for, or we start to have beliefs about ourselves that we don't deserve things and that we're not worthy of things. And we experience other people being, say, I don't know, dishonest. And because of that, we feel like that's the norm. And so we all have our own unique experiences. And so when we arrive at age 18, we've got 95% of our belief systems locked in place of how we feel the world works and how it should operate, and our relationship with money and our relationship with our family and our relationship with food. And when that happens, we've got these limiting beliefs on ourselves that can help us, and it can also limit us. So that's been my experience, is getting over these childhood limiting beliefs. They will always be there. But if I'm able to shorten the time span of you don't deserve this or you are not worthy from that whispering ghost to no, I do deserve this. I am worthy of this. And I can shorten that period of time, then I'm making better and greater progress on my life in all my areas.
And I think a lot of that whole lack of confidence comes from that as well, because the first thing I think about when we were kids is how really young, I would play with daddy long leg spiders. And, now it's like, oh my gosh, there's a spider, someone kill it. Yeah. A simple little example, but speaks volumes to what you're talking about, because something as simple as our parents being afraid of a spider has inbred that in us. And now we have that. So to overcome it, we have to overcome those limiting beliefs that we have, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I agree.
That goes a long way back.
When you take a look at the actions when I take a look at the actions that I have on a daily basis, again, a lot of those are driven by the belief system that I have about myself. And sometimes those decisions are the right ones and sometimes they're not. It's our subconscious behind the wheel, and our subconscious is there to protect us from harm and danger. Our subconscious does not care about our personal life goals. It only cares about keeping us safe and secure. And that's good when we're considering, should I cross the street on a busy highway? No, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
If I want to cross over into a better business or a better relationship with someone or whatever, my subconscious will probably say no. They'll try to find whatever it can to say no to that. Yet there's a difference between saying no and protecting your life and saying no and protecting you from growth. So,
yeah. And it's a little bit of a segue into the next part of our conversation I want to have today. So obviously self-esteem, and you mentioned this is the cornerstone to three different things that you mentioned: health, relationships, and finances or money, to even how the world sees us. So I want to come back to health, because self-care, health, mental health, all that kind is very, very important. What do you see is the way that self-esteem can help us with our health? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, if it's health, or even if it's with relationships or money or what have you, especially though if it's health, that my health results today are a result of those many actions that I took or didn't take yesterday, last year, 5 years, 10 years ago, these all accumulated. All of these actions were small seeds that I planted over that stretch of time.
Right.
And when I take a look at my health results today, I got a pretty good view of what my health will look like in the future if I continue to plant seeds like that. And if I like those health results that I see, then that tells me as say a health gardener, let me continue on using this quality of seeds that I'm planting because I like my harvest and I want that harvest to continue. If on the other hand, I see some gap, I see some improvement, I wish that things were better, I wish things were different, or I wish I had more of something, then that's a trigger for myself to maybe revisit the seeds that I'm planting, the actions that I'm taking, or the actions that I'm not taking. We like to believe that major life changes, whether they be in the health or relationships or money, are because of these enormous one-time events. You know, I'll win the lottery or something will have this angel will come from heaven and this amazing man or amazing woman now someday enters in my life. But those events just don't happen. So instead we're stuck with, I say stuck, but we're stuck with our daily activities. And that's like the 95% of all of the things that we do or don't do. They all add up to, like I said, the results that we have. So it comes down to identifying where you are. Do you see a gap? This is how I see it. Do you see a gap with where you are versus where you would like to be? Are you noticing any progress in the direction that you want? If you're noticing the progress at the speed, then you're probably on the right track. If on the other hand, you're not noticing the progress that you wish for, you're not noticing the speed to achieve the progress that you wish for, then something needs to change. Something needs to change. And those changes will not vault you to where you want to go in a snap, like I alluded to before. However, it does change the direction of where you're going. And that's the important thing to know.
I want to come back to something you said, which was the mini steps, especially around health, right? I mean, I've been on my own journey this year, and I found the baby steps have been very helpful to me to doing what I needed to do. When it comes to our health, when you talk about self-esteem mini steps, and I mean, health to everybody, different goals out there, but let's just pick something that resonates with you. Go ahead and pick something. What types of mini actions, just so our audience knows what you mean by that, would be considered?
Okay. I'll give you a hardcore example that happened to me 2 years ago. I was going down what I felt like was a very healthy route. Long ago, I got rid of sodas. I don't drink any sodas anymore. That happened years ago. That would be an example of a step that worked for me. I was focusing a lot on juicing at that time. I was looking for how I can eat healthier ever before. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, I experienced a GI tract ailment that put me in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
For 3 days. I had 3 blood transfusions. Wow. I was shocked. This was a sign that I'm doing something wrong. What could have caused this? And although they were not able to determine the exact reason why this happened, it did reveal that I was lacking fiber in my diet.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that juicing was like gold liquid for me. I should be doing this all the time. There's nothing better than that. Yet I forgot or didn't realize, I didn't recognize that I was kissing fiber away from my diet by doing so much juicing. So now I don't juice anymore. Now I'm focusing on fiber.
The opposite.
Makes sense.
Difference in my life. I have a health coach that I have a monthly visit with. This is my health advisor, let's say. She helps me keep on track. We do a lot of measurements, and I realize not everyone, say, wants or can have, say, a health coach, but this is just my own example of the things that I changed with my journey. And I know that those changes have made a huge difference in my life. I remember that I heard a story of the chef. This is going to make some sense, so stick with me. The chef discovered the potato soup vichyssoise happened accidentally. He happened to knock over cream and some mashed potatoes or something, and it just came out that he created this soup that now the whole world loves.
Right.
So sometimes in the pursuit of me changing up the seeds that I'm planting, the actions that I'm taking or eliminating, that creates a new ingredient list that produces a recipe that produces a wonderful dish or a better health result that I've ever experienced before. And sometimes it just happens that way.
Interesting. So I have a question about, we were talking about health, but I'm wanting to look more towards the relationship part of this. Maybe we can switch to that part of the conversation, because relationships take two people. Health and finances, well, finances could as well, health could potentially, but relationship is two people or more. So how does this all fit into relationships?
It fits into relationships in a big time way, because the better person that I can be, the better I will have a wonderful relationship. The rule that I also live by is be, do, have.
Okay.
I want to have, before all this, pre-2017, I want a great relation. I want to have a great relationship. Let me find and have a great relationship in my life, not recognizing that for me to have that, I need to be a person that attracts a wonderful relationship. My mindset was the other way around, like it might be for a lot of people. It's not because I'm a bad person, it's because there are not great relationships out there. And that I realize now that that's not true. There's plenty of great relationships out there. For me to attract a great relationship, guess what? I have to be a great person. Great people attract great relationships. Great people attract great things. Great people attract great finances. They attract lots of things. So when I be a certain person, when people ask me that question, like the two of you did as we jumped onto this call, how are you? I love that question because it gives me the opportunity to remind myself of my beingness. I am loving, I'm responsible, I'm trustworthy, I'm courageous, I'm brave, I'm. And that helps replenish my be buckets so that I can continue to be outward focused and be a giver and be in a manner that is attractive to lots and lots and lots and lots of people. You have great relationships in your life, as the two of you know, life can be really, really great.
Absolutely. So I know there's people in our audience who want to know how self-esteem attracts finances. So, if we can really just quickly chat about that just a little bit, because everybody's out there. It's a crazy world right now. A lot of people struggling. What is it about self-esteem that can attract finances?
When you have a high self-esteem, you care more about your future, which helps inspire you to make perhaps different decisions with your money. You feel more confident in yourself to ask for that raise if you feel like you deserve it. And you ask for that raise sooner than you thought, because there's a pep in your step when you walk around with a higher self-esteem. Just imagine if there was such a thing as a self-esteem meter that we could stick underneath our tongue and measure and produce a score that could be somewhere between 1 and 100, 1 being I am amazing and I'm wonderful and I'm very valuable, to 1 completely the opposite. And wouldn't you agree that that person who's got a self-esteem score of, I don't know, 87 is running a better life than someone with a 34?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's that confidence boost, it's that feeling about yourself, that the focus of the future. I will choose to spend my money wiser. I will choose to ask more for what I deserve. I will choose to eat the apple and not the Hershey bar.
Mhm.
Okay. It's those kinds of choices when you become more self-aware about yourself that will make a big difference in
Yeah.
your,
And I think choice is a key word that you're using. It is all about our choice.
yeah.
So let us wrap this up a little bit with, is there a piece of advice that you would want our audience to take away today? If there was nothing else, they heard this, what would you say that would be?
I would say at the beginning of the show, if there was one area that you could invest time and money in, it would be your self-esteem, because it is behind the wheel that is driving your life's ship in the direction that it carries. As much as I would like to think it's my conscious making up my mind, it's not.
Mhm.
It's my belief in my love and myself that is making all the moves. And you know what to do if you want to move that up to a new higher level. It's just take action.
I
Mhm.
love that.
And I think the stronger your self-esteem is, the stronger that you're motivated, the stronger that your
Yeah.
self-confidence glows. So if you
Yeah,
have one, you're going to get all these others just naturally following suit.
I'll add to that that momentum runs in both directions.
Yeah.
You can have momentum going down, and that's not what we want to have. You can also have momentum going up, and that is what we want to have.
Mm.
So focus on yourself being a better person that be do have. Watch your momentum scale start going up. And then when that happens, your life results start going up.
I love
That's
it.
awesome. Yeah, that's great. Um, so Rick, if our listeners wanted to learn more about you or reach out and have a chat with you about self-esteem, how would be best for them to be able to get in touch
Well,
with you?
they could find me on the web. My website is salmeronfinancial.com. I'm not a professional coach. I'm not a personal development uh, advisor. I'm just an avid student. However, I separate myself from the sea of sameness advisors because I am very much into personal growth, and my clients love that. So if they want to have a self-esteem conversation, they can look me up on the web. If they would like to have some mini light bulb moments when it comes to their money, they can check me out on social media, on Instagram and LinkedIn, because I do post every post with a strong self-esteem behind them,
Love it.
so that I can hopefully make a difference in people's lives that way.
Oh,
You
that's
certainly
great.
are.
Well, thank you so much for the conversation today, Rick. That was an excellent conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And just so everybody knows, his last name is spelled Salmeron. Correct, Rick?
That's correct.
All
Yep.
right. Thank you, of course, also to our listeners for joining us today. We hope you were able to take away some great key points that can help you on your journeys. We wanted to remind our listeners of our Amplifying Your Wellness with TLC community as well. We are here for you and can help through a safe and welcoming community. To learn more about all of our services and our community, visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. Until next time, remember, you've got this.